Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BARCastTV. It is April 17th, 2023. We have another great game for you today, so let's get into the replay. I think we have a new player to the channel, so I'll go ahead and introduce him. Spawning in the top right side of the map, playing as the Red Cortex commander, it's Waffle. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, playing as the Blue Armada commander, it's Teddy. Waffle just throwing out his love for Teddy, and I'm sure everyone is a fan of this guy. He made it all the way to the grand finals of the most recent Alpha Cup, so huge shout out to Teddy, man. Great job, great performance. I loved watching your games. Really nice sportsmanship. Really warms my heart seeing that kind of compliment. So great job, Waffle. So as these players get into the game, I'll take a moment to introduce the map here. I'm sure some of you have seen this before. This is Into Battle Redux. And I think this is a great 1v1 map. It's got some pretty cool topography. These great little plateaus here that give you some high ground advantage over your opponent's side of the map. So that's pretty interesting, and some great ways to rotate around the map on really either left or right side of the map. So decent size, decent amount of mexes here to cap. So we'll have, some strong economies at some point in the game for both of these players, and that gives you the opportunity to produce what units you think will counter your opponent's strategy. And yeah, I think it's just a great map. So let's go ahead and introduce or take a look at how these players are opening. We see Teddy has gone for this bot lab and is moving some ticks across the board here, so wasting no time interacting with his opponent. You see he already has one tick on his opponent's side of the map, just scouting around, looking for some damage, looking for some weakness here. Doesn't quite see it yet, and that's going to make Teddy, I'm not sure why he's moving these ticks down here. I think he's just waiting for a unit perhaps to pass through, but let's take a look at his opponent, Waffle. Looks like Waffle's got his 3 mexes capped. He's got one radar already up and has gone into a bot lab, so these grunts are going to make defending against these ticks a lot easier. Same for the radar, so he sees these ticks moving in. Take a look at how he's able to handle this little bit of harassment here. Teddy is not diving in, not wasting these ticks. He's just looking for an opening. He doesn't want to lose these units. They have low HP and really are designed to take out mexes here. So you don't want to take a battle with these grunts. I like seeing these Cortex versus Armada matches. We'll get a chance to see how Teddy is going to use the pawns, if at all, to take engagement with his opponents. For those of you who don't know, the pawns have a little bit of a lower attack radius or range rather, over the grunts. So can make microing and these battles, Tech 1 battles, a little bit difficult if you're inexperienced in them. But I'm sure he's mastered the grunt versus pawn interaction, and looking forward to see how he handles that himself. So Teddy's gone for a little bit of an interesting build here. He's got 3 construction bots in the main base. Went for a little bit of a walk with his commander to cap these 2 mexes on the south right side of his base. Added an LLT and is moving towards the middle of the map. Meanwhile, his opponent, Waffle, is keeping his commander inside the main base and using these construction bots to expand. So he's already locked up this back mex here. He's got 2 expanding to these southern right expansions to his main base, and he's going to be adding on another construction bot here. So we'll see what he chooses to do with that. Yeah, it looks like he's just going to be staying in the main base, assisting his bot lab. Can take a look at the statistics here, and we see Waffle is ahead on metal produced. So 100 metal produced here, 4 minutes in the game is no joke. It's about 3 grunts worth of mass, and he goes ahead and loses one for free. Actually, excuse me, he loses 2 of them here to this LLT. So not the best start, but we'll see how he recovers. He's got a nice little group of grunts here on the moving towards Teddy's side of the board. I'd like to see him group these together so they're not walking in piecemeal. We see how effective these pawns can be against these isolated grunts, and loses 2. So got to be careful with your units as they're moving onto your opponent's side of the map. You don't really know where his units are. You see he doesn't have any radar coverage up just yet. He's got one of these expanding engineers. He's going to be capping this mex, adding on an LOT, and adding on another radar. So I have a little run by here on the right side of the map. Looks like those ticks are going to be cleaned up by the grunts of Waffle. And let's go ahead and look at the player views for now. You can take a look at the player camera here. So Teddy grouping up his pawns, moving into Waffle's side of the map, chooses better of it, and just moves back. He's got a nice radar position here by his commander, so we can see the radius on that. Go back to our player view here. Some great radar coverage here. He's got one on this high ground here that provides a coverage of this circle here, and I believe he has one in his main base. No radar in his main base quite yet. He's got one LOT preventing the back, and finally he's using these 2 construction bots to expand to the left side of his main base. So, great open so far from Teddy. We can take a look at Waffle's point of view. He's going to lose his isolated grunt to the pawns of Teddy, and that's a pretty sizable force here. Let's see how he's able to respond to that. He's already moved into this thug production, so these are these light plasma bots they have. They move slower than the grunts, have a higher attack range and do more damage, but at the cost of more mass, of course. And he has 1, 2, 3 construction bots expanding left, right, and center. So great moves here. And looks like he's going to be able to take out that forward radar of Teddy. I'd like to see him edge build a radar here onto the onto his opponent's plateau, but has yet to do anything like that. He's adding on an LOT, preventing run-bys here on the right side, and has 2 grunts on the left side waiting for another run-by. So great unit positioning here. Looks like Waffle's going to catch this tick if Teddy's not too careful. He's going to walk right into this grunt. Let's see if he's able to take it out. Gets a couple shots off and takes out that tick. So good job cleaning up those early game units. Not going to get any harassment done. And Waffle's moved onto his opponent's plateau. He's got these 6 thugs moving down towards the commander. And he knows that that's where Teddy's commander is. So he's looking to put some pressure on him. These thugs do outrange the commander. So if you can get in range, you can do some serious damage. And looks like he's brought up his own pawns to try and shoo these away. Waffle trying to flank. Comes up with his own grunts, and that's gonna make Teddy retreat back down to his low ground. And Waffle is still being more aggressive with these thugs here. This is a great little move. He's forcing his opponent's commander off of the high ground, and let's see if he's able to. He's gonna walk down and put pressure on this southernmost expansion. I'm not sure, but got some energy building here in the center of the map. I'm not sure if Teddy wants to take an engagement just yet. He's made some rocket bots, so we'll see how those are able to turn the tide in his favor at all. They definitely have a high range, but don't have the most accuracy against these fast-moving runs. So you can definitely dodge those rocket shots if you've got some decent micro. So continuing to move south with these thugs, escorting them with the grunts here, and I think Waffle wants to push Teddy off of this high ground here, but Teddy's stepping up with a big pawn army here, and this is some great micro from both sides. Just posturing back and forth, really not taking an engagement quite yet. He wants to use these thugs range to his advantage, and take out an LT, take out our radar here. So this is some great moves. One grunt eats a rocket shot there. Another thug eats another rocket. So looks like Teddy's already producing some grave robbers. So that's going to be a good job of reclaiming this mass or raising these units if they fall on his side of the board. And we have more thugs making their way across the map. So Waffle's not done pushing here. He's pushing Teddy off of his high ground plateau, and this is denying his mexes. I would like to see him cap his own plateau here in response, but he is yet to expand to this far left side of the map. And looks like Teddy wants to counterattack. He knows most of his opponent's army is over here on his side of the board, so he's moving a lot of grunts here. He's trying to cut off reinforcements, trying to isolate this army, and those thugs finally take out that other radar here, so he's going to put his opponent in the dark. You can take a look at Teddy's camera here. Sees a lot of thugs here. He's trying to counterattack with the thugs. He's coming in for a flank, but Waffle can just pull back. He can retreat against these units and kite them. Let's see how many thugs he's able to take down with these pawns. This is turning out to be a great engagement so far. Just six thugs remain here, but the pawn numbers are weakening, and he's moving away from these rocket bots. But what he's left behind is a lot of reclaim here, and we already see we have a Lazarus is rezzing these units, so good job using that mechanic as a part of the game, and he's using his commander to add on LOTs in the center, but Waffle's bringing down more units here in the center. Really trying to put pressure on his opponent. I like this play, and so far we still have one thug left over from this engagement. He's going to take out a couple extra pawns for free. Could move into take out this mech here out of range of that LOT. I'm pretty sure he can get in range of that. And we still have this battle going on in the center here, so Waffle, you need to bring up a resbot here to get this reclaim you're leaving on your opponent's side of the map. You just can't donate all this mass. I mean, sure, he's taking out mexes. He's denying this plateau here, but he's not really following up with an expansion. Well, he has his bottom right expansion, so this is a great move here. Using this pressure you're putting on your opponent to expand to both corners of the map, actually. So, great move so far. Waffle's still producing thugs here out of one factory. He hasn't moved into another factory yet, quite yet. And has a decent amount of build power assisting that factory in his main base. So, just churning out these thugs with all the mass he's able to produce and really putting pressure on his opponent. See a big reclaim field. One of the observers is circling here, so I'm sure we'll see Teddy try and get this up with his, soak this mass up with his Lazarus. Looks like he's just repairing this radar for now, so this radar providing all the intel he needs on his opponent's movements. And we see Waffle is continuing to be aggressive. He's stepping forward with these thugs, but Teddy has enough pawns to counteract this. He's going to take a fight on the right flank of this army and move into the center, so wants to shave off units. I mean, he should be backing up now. He's walking into a lot of fire here. He's going to lose all his pawns and really not take down many of these thugs. We see a couple rockets are connecting. One thug goes down to a rocket. We see more thugs eating rocket shots. And he's going to be pressing forward here. These rockets can't really take a direct engagement, so Waffle's going to take out another LLT. He's going to force this commander back. I would really like to see him bring up his own grave robbers, but he's letting his opponent get these units up for free. So we have these two Lazarus going to town, rezzing these units here. Teddy's adding on power onto this right side. He has these two expanding engineers that he's just trying to make use of, adding on power. Not sure why he's using these solar collectors here. We have a really high average wind speed, and it's maxed out right now, so he should be adding on those wind turbines, but maybe he knows something I don't. And we have this huge reclaim field on Teddy's side of the map, so definitely give him the advantage for now. We can take a look at the total mass produced. Waffle sitting at about a 2k advantage over his opponent, but we can take a look. How much metal is here? Well, there's 2,500 metal just in this little circle here, so that deficit could be completely made up if Teddy is able to reclaim this mass. And we see we have a group of pawns here moving onto the bottom right side of the board. He's going to take out these two mexes. These LLTs are not covering those, but that construction box should be protected by the LLTs. And we have this expansion in the top left corner of the map for Waffle, so he's being so aggressive with these thugs. Moving towards the main base of Teddy. Teddy trying to reposition his units. He's got some pawns on the left side of this army. He's got these res thugs going to town, so this Armada commander has got use of these Cortex pieces. And I don't think this push is going to work out too well. He's walking into the production of his opponent. Teddy's moving all of his units to the left side of the map, so he's trying to box in this army, trying to prevent it from walking forward, and I think he's doing just that. He split the army in two. Just has to clean up these two lone thugs here on the left side, but these thugs are walking into their deaths here. They're completely unsupported. Walking into superior numbers, but one thug's made it back into the main base here, and it's going to be taken out by something. I'm not sure what actually shot that, but goes down and leaves even more mass onto his opponent's side of the map. You can take a look at how much reclaim is actually here. Not sure. I think I got to select a unit. Yeah, so 3,000 mass sitting on Teddy's side of the board. All he has to do is just scoop that mass up with some resbots and dump it into some armies. So continuing to create pawns here. We see neither player has moved on to a second factory yet. Waffle's finally moving out of his main base with his commander, and we see some interesting engagements. Looks like Waffle's trying to take his opponent's plateau. Meanwhile, Teddy moving on to his opponent's side of the board. He senses some weakness, and he's going to find an exposed expansion here. So just one LLT is not enough to stop these grunts, and I love this edge construction. Look at this. Teddy's going to have made 2 radars, 2 sentries, and 1 beamer turret. He's edge built that onto his opponent's plateau. So that's going to make pushing a lot easier here. He's going to be able to fall back to those units if his opponent kind of boxes him in on the plateau here. And we see Waffle is continuing to make these thugs, so looks like he's going to be going for another attack here, but he doesn't have these units supported or grouped together, so he's walking in piecemeal to an LLT forest and a big army here on the left side. So It's going to give Teddy a chance to corner these units and get more mass on his side of the map. Meanwhile, we have more thugs pushing off this plateau, coming down, trying to walk into these LOTs and weaken this position here. But we see this engagement here on the left side. So many thugs going down for free here. This is not a good trade. You can take a look at the statistics here. His opponent has a lot of damage efficiency over his opponent. And we see on this top left side of the board, these rezzed thugs are clearing out this expansion here. So got to be able to defend your expansions if you take them. I mean, I think Waffle's stumbling here a little bit. He's given his opponent a lot of time to reclaim this mass. He's got a lot of rezzed units on the board and has lost his top left expansion, but still has this foothold on his opponent's plateau. So Waffle still not out of the game yet. Still has a fighting chance. Needs to be rezzing some of these units here. Looks like he's moving to the bottom right side of the map. He's trying to take this expansion back. Teddy's commander just idling in the center of the board. Looks like he's adding more LLTs here. So many LLTs right now. Up to about over a dozen LLTs in the center of the board. Has started some anti-air turrets, so definitely anticipating some kind of air switch from his opponent. But we can see Waffle is still sitting on this one bot lab here, waiting for his opponent to counterattack. We see Teddy's cleared out this top left expansion. He's moving onto his opponent's plateau, trying to clear out this little expansion. And I see an engagement here on Teddy's side of the board. Looks like Waffle's moved on to Teddy's plateau with 21 thugs. Let's see how he's able to take an engagement here. Moving right into his opponent's LOTs. I'm not sure if this is going to be an effective trade here. We see he's moving back onto Teddy's plateau, just trying to move away from these LOTs. He can't take an engagement into an army and static defense. It's not going to work out too well. He wants to protect this foothold he has on his opponent's plateau, and still, finally we see Waffle's made one of these grave robber here. So he's going to start by reclaiming this mass on the right side of the board. I'm sure he'll be moving down, yep, onto Teddy's plateau. Wants to get that mass. So good job not taking an engagement there in the center of the board. And we have a couple thugs of Waffle. He's trying to shoot Teddy off of his own plateau and wants to make use of this other grave robber here, trying to suck up this mass here. But you have a huge swell of units from Teddy moving onto Waffle's side of the board. He has so many pawns, so many res thugs. And let's see how this engagement goes. He's walking into thugs and one LLT, so this shouldn't go too well. I mean, this is a lot of firepower here from Waffle. Is this the mass donation he needed to get back in this game? We'll see. He's trying to kite these units. He's moving back onto his side of the map, and Teddy's pushing farther and farther into LLTs. Looks like he's going to pull back, clean up the rest of this expansion, clean out this LLT here. Meanwhile, we have this engagement on the south side of the map. We still have 16 thugs here on this plateau, so he can definitely make use of this weakness on the bottom right side of Teddy's base. And still, we have pawns pressing forward here. Some of them are getting through. They're going to be able to harass this wind farm if they're able to get back into his main base. Takes out all the energy converters here, so really can't be losing your economy to a couple pawns here so far into the game. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, looks like these thugs are moved off the plateau and are threatening the main base of Teddy, but he's trying to reposition his army. He's trying to move it into position to defend against this. He's got a nice arc set up. He's going to be able to dive in against his opponent's army here any moment. And yeah, here he goes. His own mace is up. He has some res thugs from the previous engagement here, and he should be able to clean up this army without taking too much damage. So another mass donation from Waffle on Teddy's side of the map. It's going to let Teddy suck up this mass here, and we see he's got a lot of grave robbers out, continuing to res units instead of reclaim them. So he wants to get that army advantage over his opponent. Finally, these thugs go down. We can take a look at Waffle's side of the map. He's still dealing with this run by here, so trying to defeat his own units that have been rezzed. Not where you want to be in a game. So it seems like the action is stabilized for now. We can see Teddy has secured this top left corner of the map. Waffle's sitting on the bottom right corner. And take a look at the metal produced. We can see Waffle is up by about 5k metal, but I don't think that matters so much. He's left so much mass on his opponent's side of the map. We can see still about 3k mass sitting on Teddy's side of the board. And he's not putting that as economy. He's just using his res bots to supplement his army. So finally pushing onto his own plateau. I think he's going to push Waffle off of this here and then go for some kind of killing move. He's got a huge army. pushing onto his own plateau, and we can see Waffle has remade some more thugs, so he's got 21 thugs, 7 grunts. He's trying to push onto his own plateau. He needs to take out this radar here. He's got giving so much information to Teddy just idling in front of that. And that's going to let Teddy form up his army here in the center of the board. He's massing all of his units. All these maces, all these pawns, thugs. It's like we have an engagement forming here. Both players are moving towards the center of the map, and we see Teddy has this great line constructed. He's moving his pawns back. He's got his maces standing in the front line. I'm wondering what his plan is here. It should be the last engagement of the game here. We have a lot of pawns stepping forward. Looks like they're going to be taking the brunt of this first engagement here. And yeah, that's going to trigger Teddy to move forward. Waffle trying to kite back. So many units. So many thugs firing at each other. We can see just how many thugs Teddy was able to res on his side of the map. That's, I mean, 10 thugs here at least. 15 thugs, so they didn't come back as mass. They came back as armada thugs. And here's the battle here. So both players stepping up, thugs running forward between the lines, sucking up those shots, dealing their damage here. And this is quite the engagement. See, such a big arc here of maces and thugs pushing Waffle back towards his main base, and that's it. Waffle calls GG. Wow, great game. Thanks for watching, y'all, and see you in the next video.